It was an ordinary afternoon, the kind Gabriel Hayes thought would pass quietly. A single father, all he wanted was a quick bite to eat and a moment to breathe before collecting his daughter from preschool. Nothing about the day suggested that fate was waiting for him inside the Maple and Grind Café, tucked at the corner of a busy Seattle street. The café smelled of roasted beans, toasted bread, and the faint tang of oranges from someone's pastry. Construction workers leaned against counters, nursing paper cups, while college students hunched over laptops with earbuds jammed in. Gabriel belonged to neither world entirely, but he blended in easily with his frayed jacket and calloused hands, the look of a man who worked hard and rarely had time for anything else. He kept his gaze down, waiting for his number to be called. His mind was already half on Lily, his daughter, wondering if she'd napped at school or if she'd be cranky when he picked her up. But then a voice cut through the steady murmur of conversation. "You should be grateful, sweetheart. I said you're beautiful. Just smile and take the compliment." The tone was sharp, entitled, and it pulled Gabriel's head up before he could stop himself. 3 people ahead, a man leaned too close to a woman in a light blue coat. Her auburn hair spilled in waves over her shoulders, and her untouched latte steamed faintly on the counter. She didn't smile. She didn't argue. She just stayed very still, her lips pressed together, jaw tight enough to ache. Gabriel knew that kind of silence. He'd lived it before, the silence of someone who refused to break, even when pushed. A silence predators always mistook for weakness. "Come on," the man insisted, angling himself closer. "Don't be so uptight." Something snapped in Gabriel before logic could stop him. He stepped forward, his voice low but steady. She said no. The man's head whipped around. His eyes narrowed. "And who the hell are you?" Gabriel didn't waver. "Nobody. Just someone who doesn't like watching guys push where they're not wanted." For a moment, the air thickened. Chairs scraped faintly, cups paused halfway to mouths. The man puffed up like he was about to start something, until his eyes took in Gabriel properly. The solid shoulders, the tired but unshaken stare, the quiet grit of a man who didn't bluff. Something faltered in the stranger's bravado. He muttered under his breath, grabbed his coffee, and shoved through the door with more noise than necessary. The bell above it clattered as it swung shut behind him. The room exhaled. A few customers glanced at Gabriel with relief, while others quickly pretended they hadn't seen a thing. Gabriel stepped back, wishing he could vanish into the quiet again. But then the woman turned. Her voice was smooth, controlled, though gratitude softened the edges. "He wasn't worth the breath," she said simply. "But thank you." Gabriel shrugged, suddenly self-conscious. Up close, she carried herself with an elegance that felt out of place among buzzing lights and chipped tables. He scratched at the back of his neck. "No problem." "You okay?" Her gaze met his, searching, almost curious. Then the faintest smile curved her lips, dimples appearing. "Do you always play the hero before lunch?" A laugh slipped from him, quick and rough. "Only when I haven't eaten yet." For a heartbeat, the space between them thickened with something neither had expected. Then Gabriel cleared his throat, gave a half wave, and turned toward the exit. "Better get going. My daughter's waiting." Her eyebrows lifted, surprise flickering in her eyes. "You have a daughter?" "Yeah. Lily. She's 5. Smartest kid I know." His face softened just speaking her name. "She's the reason I don't throw punches anymore." The woman, Clara Whitmore, watched him leave, her gaze lingering far longer than she'd admit. Something about the way he had stepped in not to impress, not to posture, but simply because it was right, stirred something deep in her chest. Clara wasn't used to remembering strangers. Her life was carefully constructed, every introduction strategic, every conversation measured. Most men noticed her first for her last name, her position, the weight of the Whitmore family fortune that followed her like perfume. Their smiles were practiced, their intentions clear before they opened their mouths. But this man, this Gabriel Hayes in a frayed jacket, had stood up without hesitation, shielded her with nothing more than his voice, and walked away like it meant nothing. Except it hadn't been nothing. Not to her. Later, in the quiet leather interior of her SUV, Clara stared out the windshield for longer than necessary. Finally, she tapped her phone. "Anna," she said when her assistant answered. "Yes, Ms. Whitmore. I need you to look into someone. His name is Gabriel Hayes. He has a daughter, drives an old silver Honda." We met at Maple and Grind Cafe today. Find out what you can, and whether he's single. There was a pause. You want me to investigate a man from a coffee shop? Clara's voice sharpened. I want to understand who he is. Don't ask questions. Just do it. When the call ended, she leaned back against the seat, exhaling slowly. Outside, Seattle moved at its usual pace. Buses groaning at stops, cyclists weaving through traffic, the scent of damp pavement clinging to the air. But Clara's focus narrowed when she spotted him again across the street. Gabriel emerged from the cafe carrying 2 paper cups, heading toward a car long past its shine. He opened the back door, and that's when she saw the child. Lily. Her curls bounced as she chattered, her oversized coat sleeves swallowing her small hands. Gabriel crouched to buckle her in, tugging the strap with patient care before leaning down to kiss her forehead. Something twisted unexpectedly in Clara's chest. She'd known countless men in tailored suits who held doors and poured champagne, but never one who fastened a child's seatbelt with such reverence, as though it were the most important task in the world. As Lily's laughter bubbled from inside the car, muffled but bright, Clara pressed a hand to her chest to steady the strange, unguarded flutter. "Who are you, Gabriel Hayes?" she whispered as his car disappeared into traffic. The following morning, the job site bustled with the clamor of saws, drills, and hammers. Gabriel Hayes moved steadily among it all, carrying lumber across uneven ground, his boots caked with dust. Work was straightforward, the kind of labor that kept his hands busy and his mind steady. It was what allowed him to keep food on the table and Lily's little world secure. He liked it that way, simple, manageable, no surprises. So when a sleek black SUV slowed at the edge of the site, his gut tightened instantly. The vehicle didn't belong here. Neither did the woman who stepped out. Clara Whitmore. She walked across the gravel with a kind of poise that made conversation falter around her. Even among sawdust and grit, she moved as though the ground itself shifted to accommodate her. Gabriel's coworkers whistled, nudging each other, trading smirks. Gabriel tightened his grip on the ladder, his pulse kicking hard. Clara's eyes found his, and for a moment they softened. "Hello," she said, her voice steady, as though greeting him here was the most natural thing in the world. Gabriel blinked. "Hi." His voice felt rough, too raw for the polished presence standing in front of him. She tilted her head, her lips curving slightly. "Would you let me buy you lunch?" For a second, Gabriel thought he'd misheard. Around them, his coworkers exchanged knowing looks, some openly staring. "You're serious?" he asked. "Unless you'd rather share another crowded cafe," she teased lightly. A half-laugh escaped him, half nerves, half disbelief. "I mean, I'd offer to drive, but my car doesn't exactly match yours." Clara's reply came quickly, her gaze unwavering. "I'm not here for the car. I'm here for you." The words landed with surprising weight, almost heavier than she intended. For a long moment, Gabriel only studied her face, searching for the angle, the trick. People like her didn't show up at places like this for men like him. And yet, there she stood. Calm, certain. Slowly, he peeled off his gloves, dust flaking away. "All right," he said finally. "Give me a minute to clean up." Clara's smile deepened, though not with triumph, with relief. "I'll wait." When he returned, his jeans were still faded and his hair damp from a rinse at the sink, but it was the best he could manage. He half expected her to reconsider, to second-guess this strange decision. But Clara looked at him as though nothing about him was out of place. "Ready?" she asked. He nodded, though unease curled in his chest. He didn't know what this was or why she'd sought him out, but as he followed her toward the waiting SUV, one thing became clear. Clara Whitmore wasn't chasing appearances. She wanted to see him. Really see him. And against his better judgment, Gabriel found himself wanting to let her.